Hey everybody, Brad Johnson here, and I wanted to do a brand new series for my YouTube channel, and this is going to be a kind of a different flow from a lot of the other videos that I have on my channel, and it's going to be called Brad's Vlog. So with this is just more of a personable, type of video, where I'm just sharing more about my own personal experiences, getting to know me a little bit more, beyond the aspect of being a channel or being a conduit for the universal mind as well too, which of course I enjoy all those things. But my old mentality was the feeling that it wasn't about getting to know me. It was about the idea about being able to just utilize that information that I bring about, utilizing the insight, sharing it with you all, and that was all that was important. And I felt that it was just unnecessary, to really quote-unquote get to know Brad. And I discovered recently that that is completely incorrect, right? It is about being able to look at who is providing this information, being quite personable with them, and understanding that that person is a living human being as well too, just like everybody else. And I think this is actually where there's a lot of lack in the spiritual community when people who want to be teachers, they want to be spiritual facilitators, they go into these work modes in that sense. And that's all fine and good. You can certainly, go right into it. But it's very, very important that you are sharing your authenticity, that you're sharing more about who you are, so that people realize that you're human. And what I've noticed as well is when you don't do this, people put you on a pedestal, right? They think, oh my goodness, this person is so great. They have all this information. It feels like that must be all that they do with their entire life. That must be their 24/7 routine. They're constantly meditating, they're constantly channeling, they're constantly connecting to the universal mind and doing healing work, and they don't do anything else. I can tell you guys, nobody does that. From the people that I've met, from the people that are on YouTube, or from the people that, again, are sharing this information, it is not a 24/7 thing, right? People have vulnerabilities, teachers have vulnerabilities, I have vulnerabilities. There's no such thing as a quote-unquote perfect teacher, right? So this is, again, why I wanted to do these series, is just talk more about, again, my own personal experiences as well. And a lot of the things I wanted to talk about today would relate to that of financial abundance, would relate to that of money. So in my past, before I started all of this, before I got into spirituality, before I got into channeling, consciousness, all of that, I was getting very much into doing PC support, right? Building computers, which I certainly could not do today. Computers are so different. I didn't have tablets back then, didn't have the smartphones back then. Even the new computers as well too would completely, overwhelm me in that way. But I started off with web design, with graphic design. I started off with building computers. And I was just more of a person that would lay himself down so that other people could step over me, so that they could get where they wanted to go, and I wouldn't be able to go where I wanted to go. I just felt I needed to be a foothold for somebody, a stone in the water, so that somebody could just take their foot, step over me, and then make it over to the other side, right? I had no ambition about being able to work on myself or feel that I was anything else but just to do constant service to others, right? I always wanted to make other people feel good, right? And I wouldn't say I was a shy person. I was certainly quiet, but I wasn't really the person that would just, hide in a corner and be timid and not talk to anybody. I just wasn't that much of a gossip person, right? I wasn't really sociable, right? And this is, again, why I kind of keep things quiet in my life, is because I'm happy to talk to a person if there's a conversation, but I'm certainly not a guy who is a small talker, right? I'm not a guy who is gossiping all the time. I don't really start conversations with people, right? People maybe come up to me and then they say, oh, Brad, hey, how are you doing with this? Or what's going on here, et cetera, et cetera. And then I kind of indulge the conversation. The most you'll get out of me if I'm walking down the street and you say, hey, Brad, how's it going? I'll just say, hey, what's up? Right? That's the extent to my conversational energy, I guess you could say. But really, a lot of what I've done in the past involved PC tech support, web design. I was doing a lot of work with computers. I was also doing a lot of marketing as well too, right? I started back in 2000, 2001. I actually started with a lot of the multi-level marketing, kind of campaigns. One of them in particular was called Herbalife. And I remember that was like one of the biggest setbacks of myself, because I was struggling with money. I was struggling with financial abundance. And I thought, oh my God, I got this net marketing thing. I got this multi-level marketing campaign that's happening. I'm going to hit it big. I'm going to get rich off this, right? And of course, it turned out to be the complete and total opposite, because I'm a quiet guy, because I don't really want to start a lot of conversations, but I don't mind getting involved with them. That was one of the biggest setbacks, because you know, they were saying, well, you just have to gossip with people, you have to talk to them, you have to just go around, go out in the street and just start talking to people. No. Right? So that was, you know, my own hopes and dreams about getting into some sort of big, gigantic, multi-level marketing thing, and thinking that was going to be my liberation, and feeling that I don't have to worry about money anymore. Well, that again became its opposite, right? So I have certainly struggled a lot with financial abundance in the times past with money. When I was married to a wife, and I had 2 kids as well too. And of course, when I went into my spiritual awakening, I woke up and saw there was an extremely toxic relationship, and I basically just came down to a choice where saying that if I really want myself to be happy, if I want my ex-wife to really start to be happy in that sense, it's time to part ways, right? And since after I did that, there was a lot of struggle financially for myself as well, because I was working jobs, you know, working in department stores. I was working in call centers. Again, I was doing marketing jobs that really didn't go anywhere. At times later, I started to doing construction. I started doing roofing as well too, a little bit of roofing, ditch digging in that way, right? A lot of physical stuff, which was fun. It was good being outside, getting exercise, getting fresh air. But again, I just realized, I was saying, oh, I don't know, man. It just feels like I'm being enslaved by this work. This whole idea of me trying to battle, to fight, to get money in that sense. It's all about having to go somewhere 8 hours a day, somewhere I don't really care to be, or doing work that I really don't care about, but I have to do it to satisfy the ability for me to get money, to put food on the table, to pay rent, to pay bills, to get all of that done. And so I was struggling a lot. And so this was a definite insecurity for me, as I felt that, you know, what is this whole thing with money? What's with this money situation, right? Why do we have to kill ourselves to constantly make money each and every single day? And it was the same thing even before my spiritual awakening as well too. Wasn't doing well, right? It was just basically bare bones, you know, bare income that was coming together, and attempting to support 2 kids as well too. And that made it horrifying, right? The money situation just was not getting any better there. And again, it was starting to plummet even after I had left. I had separated from the marriage and went on my own. And of course, that was a big struggle as well too. It wasn't until around 2013 or so that I had a friend that came to Canada from Belgium. And she was actually just a really great friend. And I certainly didn't realize it at the time, because we'd actually got into arguments and stuff like that. So we were trying to date, but it didn't go that way. But she was basically telling me, I said, well, you have to look at the way that you're looking at money, because you constantly feel that money owns you. You feel that money has a slavery hold on you, right? And you basically see money as the enemy. And what really brought this up was that I made a video back around 2013. And I was just talking about how much I despise money and I can't stand money. And what I did was I just took my wallet out of my pants pocket and just kicked it. Kicked it over to my nearby garden, right? And I was just saying, I was bashing money. I couldn't stand it. And I said, to hell with money and blah, 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 to hell with everything. Of course, after I did that video, a few minutes later, I just went by and picked my wallet back up and put it back in my pocket, right? And so I showed her this, and I said, yeah, this is what I think about money, and this is it, right? And this is where she was looking at it and saying, you know, you feel like you're just being a slave to money, right? That money has a hold on you. And this is not the idea whatsoever. You have to understand that you're the creator of money. You know, that when you're looking at this money, you know, a lot of people will see it in the form of the root of all evil, that it, you know, it's horrifying, it's controlled by a government, and it's this, that, and the other thing. And in a way, that's certainly true. But the whole idea is you have to understand that everything that's a part of your reality is your creation, right? So when you're holding money in your hand, does it own you, or do you own money, right? And this is what I was starting to realize. Again, my insecurity for money was atrocious in that way. And so I started to look at it in a very, very different way. I started to say, well, you know what, instead of me always fighting to survive, always fighting to make money, always fighting and struggling and having so much hardship with money, I'm going to completely shift my thinking. I just wrote it down on a notepad, right? I just said, I am not going to think that money is going to control me anymore. I'm now going to get in the mentality where money works for me. Money is my creation. I'm creating the money situation. I'm creating my own financial abundance. As soon as I started getting into this mentality, going through meditation, I'd even have dreams as well too about me actually being able to be in alignment with money, right? Where I'm actually seeing that I could just manifest as much of it as I want. And I was on that side. Now, the money situation changed 180 degrees. Sessions were picking up. I was getting new ideas about courses and all of these things. And so now I was able to bring financial abundance forward. Not because I needed money, but it's the idea in that sense of feeling that money itself, I was showing to myself that I am in command of money, that I create money, I create financial flow, I create all of this abundance that comes into my life. So I really dissected it. I went, I took out a book, just my little notepad, and just started writing things down and saying, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, start off with those simple sentences that I talk to people about, going to the theta state, right? And just saying that I control money, I command money, I create money. It is mine to do with, right? So just putting all of these particular practices together, and I started to do it. Because again, before in the past, I was struggling. I was suffering quite a lot. Actually, if you noticed, around times of 2009 to 2013, those were the years that I was struggling and suffering the most, right? I was feeling very, very guilty, about the idea of leaving behind the ex-wife, leaving behind the kids as well too, because I still don't see them to this very day as well, right? And it was the idea that we parted ways, and when I left my ex-wife, there was major animosity there. She just basically wished I was dead. That would be the best way I could put it, and really just did not want me to be anywhere near the kids that I have. And it was a very huge struggle, right? And I was just, tossing and turning each night after I parted ways with her, and I was just thinking, maybe I just need to go back. Maybe I just need to get back into that life. I just need to go back and just be there, right? But my own guidance was constantly telling me, it said, Brad, if you do that, you're going back to square one. If you're doing that again, you're only going to pretend to be happy, right? You're still going to be miserable, and it's going to be unhealthy for both of you. It's going to be unhealthy for your children. It's going to be unhealthy for your ex-wife. It's going to be unhealthy for just the entire circle there. You have to let this go. You have to just work together with yourself. What we really don't understand as well too is that when we have a hardship coming together with relationships, we feel that we need to be there with that person. We feel that the idea of separating from that person, of parting ways, is one of the most horrible things that you can possibly do. And this is actually the opposite. When you know that there is such great toxicity in a relationship, and you know that when you're around each other that you just want to pull each other's hair out, which was really my situation with the ex, that is actually going to cause more harm. That's basically saying that we want to get together just as a state of some type of obedience, of some type of loyalty, of some type of vow, but we want to kill each other. We want to destroy each other as soon as we're around. If you truly honor that partner, then you have to be able to surrender yourself and part ways, because that therefore diffuses the entire situation. And this took me years to realize, right? I was, again, tossing and turning. I was really upset. I was in tears, at night, because I was just being denied to see my kids. I was basically being told by the ministry, which is what we call a government agency here as well too, working with families and so forth, that I was nuts, that I was insane, that I was channeling an extraterrestrial consciousness, and that I must be crazy. And there's no way they're going to allow me to have my kids near me if I'm in that particular type of mentality. And even though I would pass psychological tests, they still said, oh, he's still channeling, he's still doing his crazy stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And I wouldn't even know about court dates. I wouldn't even know about what was happening relating to rulings. I was kept completely out of the dark with this, and it was like a huge, gigantic brick wall just layered itself all around me. and I could not see my kids, and it was killing me, right? I had to have supervised visits to see them, right? So, and there was really nothing I could do other than spending many years fighting in a court. And I just looked at that and I said, I don't want to be a part of that, right? I don't want to have to the idea of forcing that I need to bring my children into my life because of some court battles, because of some court fights in that way. And I have also had that experience in the past as well with parents being divorced. And I remember that I was the tug of war. I was the middle victim, and I wouldn't say victim, but basically being the middle child, which I felt like a victim at the time. And I felt like my mom and my dad were pulling at me, right? And saying, oh, I'm going to get bread. No, I'm going to get bread. I'm going to get bread. I'm going to get bread. And I just remember exactly how I felt. And I just remember that's the last feeling I want to put on my children, because I know what it was like. I experienced that personally, right? So there was a lot of hardship in regards to the first couple of years of my life. Again, 2009, right up to about 2013. And it wasn't until I started to harmonize with my financial abundance, I started to get more organized, I started to put more things together, and things just started to flow. And I knew that if I can do this with financial abundance, then I can make peace with my current situation. Do I love my kids? 100%, without a shadow of a doubt. Am I able to see them right now? No, I'm not. But I am okay with accepting where they are as a means of whether I'm part of their life or not, is that I'm wishing them love, I'm wishing them happiness, I'm wishing them a great amount of joy. So whether I'm with them or not, they're going to have a blessed life. And that's been my mentality for the past couple of years. I've even talked to a lot of psychics and intuitives about this and said, yeah, I mean, this is what you have to do, right? You have to go on with your life. You need to develop yourself, work on yourself, and that when they get more closer to adulthood, they'll become part of your life again. And that's what I've understood as well, too. So I want to be in front of you guys and just sharing exactly a lot of this particular form of vulnerability. And believe me, there's a lot more to come in episodes ahead. But it's also for you guys to understand that, you know, we paint this picture of spiritual teachers. We may see them as people that are just meditating in a cave or meditating inside their home, and that this must be all they do, right? This is it. They're just doing healing work, they're doing inner work, and they're doing it all the time. And there's really no personality to them, right? And again, this is the biggest crock there is, right? I've certainly been through a lot of my struggles. I've been through financial burden. I've been through family burden. I've been through the idea of just actually feeling lonely in the earlier years as well, too. That doesn't really happen anymore because I've really just made so much peace with overcoming old Brads, letting old Brads die and letting new ones be born, right? And you know, this is very, very common, especially in the spiritual community, when a lot of people who have left their families, because I'm amazed at how many people I've seen that have similar stories to myself. They can't see their kids, they left their spouses, they've gone on their own, they've had financial struggles, you know, they've weren't too sure what to do. They felt great loneliness as well, too. And as someone who's been there and who has been able to really heal up a lot of those areas as well, too, I understand that, right? And especially with bringing in Adronis's wisdom and just sharing this connection of flow that comes through, it has helped so much. If I wasn't channeling Adronis, if I wasn't doing this spiritual work and still where I was, I probably would be in a nut house right now. I'd probably be in an insane asylum being pumped with pharmaceutical drugs or God knows what, right? Because I was just losing my mind being in that old relationship. And of course, there was a lot of other relationships I had after the ex-wife as well too, because I also felt that I needed to have somebody in my life to complete me, right? And this was the greatest form of delusion that there was as well too. But we're going to talk about that more in the vlog. I want to have some other juicy stuff to share with all of you guys as I'm going to be doing this vlog once a week. But again, a lot of it was focusing on finances, right? So the key here is making sure that you know that you are the creator of your finances. You're the creator of your abundance. And it doesn't even have to be about finance. It can be the idea that your exchange, anything that you want to bring into yourself that serves you, you're the head creator of it, right? You're at the top of the pyramid and everything else is coming from below, right? You're building yourself from the top down. And so this is where I say is that if I can do this, guys, anybody can do this. You really have to have the willpower. You have to have the courage. You have to have the inner ability, the inner will of knowing that you want to change yourself. Take out a notepad, take out a book, right? And just start writing things down. That's all I did. I didn't do some magical, you know, one button push meditation technique that fixed everything, right? It took a lot, right? There is no one button magic push thing that you can just, oh, there we go, and I'm all better, right? There's a lot of work that needs to be done with this. You really have to look inside your soul. You have to be at peace with your soul. And when you're able to do this, you're going to go places. But it's always going to be a transition. There's no such thing as that instant effect where you're going to have absolutely nothing at all, right? Even what I'm doing with what I'm doing with EQ method, you know, there's a lot of instantaneous effects that you feel, but you're still going through the process of being able to soothe the waters as well too. You basically take a lot of dense energy, you replace it with love energy, you put it together, right? The love energy completely saturates the negative energy and it becomes pure energy, right? But there's still a transitional cycle as well too. You feel that instantaneous effect that the feelings within yourself are changing, but you got to nurture them. You got to nourish them over time as well. And that's certainly what I've done. And so again, there's still some stuff that I need to heal from time to time as well too, relating more to the idea of relationships, relating more to the idea of more, you know, security, of financial abundance, and the list goes on and on. But anyways, we're going to talk about that in more videos to come. So thank you so much for joining me for this first episode of Brad's Vlog. More to come next week. Thank you all, everybody. Much love to you all, and take care. Goodbye.